execute on it in the 5v5, but they have no idea how to protect that champion or how to mitigate the damage that it causes to their lanes, not having a heavy ganking jungler to compensate for their over-aggression.
Now we even see big picks like the Ezreal coming out for Mystic, like Zero's Alistar, champion that he played in every single match that they had against Vici, and he had great performances on the champion as well. We're going to have to see what these two teams ban out in their final match here. We've come down to game number 5. The winner of this heads into the LPL Grand Finals. So let's kick it off and run through the bans that EDG have taken out on the blue side of the map. Shen will be that first ban who has been perma-banned throughout this series. Karma, the second ban coming out from them, as well as Gangplank. On the side of Team WE, they do not want that blue side Rek'Sai for clear love that they had on game number 1, and Cogmore taken away from Deft once again.
And reminder that if Edward Gaming win this set, they will be going to Worlds. It's just a matter of what seed will they take.
And Lissandra is going to be the final ban that come out from Team WE. This does leave Vladimir open, a champion that has been banned out quite a bit during this series.
More importantly, it leaves Taliyah open. And time again, we've seen LPL teams prioritize Taliyah over the Vladimir.
Let's see what EDG decide to pick up as their first pick. Lots of options left available. Sivir still left up as well. They just did hover over the Vladimir, which could be a crucial pick and something that teams don't leave open without knowing what they're going to do against it.
And this is crazy. Not only will this be going against the grain, again, Taliyah has often been the priority when both these champions have been left available. Just her superior and initial wave clear and control versus Vladimir taking more time to ramp up. But this fact that Scout, the replacement sub mid laner, may get the priority pick.
Could potentially be so, but for now they swap over at the last second. Instead, they want Clearlove to pick up this Gragas. Condi has been wrecking with the champion, and Clearlove is known for picking it up this year.
Thank you, Rapid Star. It's nice to see that you finally showed up here. We got Clearlove off the Hecarim. We've got the Gragas back in place. This makes perfect sense. I've said it again. If you want a staple kit to beat Team WE, pick Gragas, pick Sivir. If they choose Vladimir or if they choose Taliyah, Gragas will just rock up into that mid lane, drop a cask behind either one of them, and destroy them.
And that's exactly how Condi was able to get CS so far ahead when he picked up the Taliyah in the game that Team WE were able to get so far ahead on. So now we're going to have to see what Condi's going to be rocking onto Summoner's Rift here.
I think he has to go towards that Elise.
Probably. So now we'll have to see what their next two picks are going to be. Taliyah, like we've mentioned, this entire time, left open. A big priority pick. Team W could just throw away that last pick mid lane and prioritize picking up the champion. 957 did have a good redemption match on the Gnar. He's going to get another one here as they do lock in the Taliyah as well as Gnar.
And we saw why Taliyah was banned earlier, so CA also getting his hands on that champion could spell disaster for EDG. Again, I understand the priority pick of the Gragas, knowing that Taliyah or Vladimir will come out. He has great counter threat and options to deal with them, but CA showed up massive on this champion the last time he got a hold of it.
He certainly did. Now EDG's chance to pick up 2 more picks. There's a potential to see the Vladimir pick come out for Scouts. Was left open this time round, and we have seen this matchup that's being hovered over by Scout for now. Syndra was picked up into the mid lane to go up against the Taliyah. Was not a great performance for Scout. Sia absolutely shut him down with the help of Condi. But that was also due to a very strange level 1 fight between these two teams.
Yes. The Aurelia.
That is a possibility. We could see Mouse pick up the champion, and it is locked in. We will get the Vladimir as well. 2 very strong solo laners picked up by EDG.
You know, there are so many teams, so many top laners that they'll be best of 5. Last game, you know, let's sit back. Let's go to Maokai. Let's pick the Orianna. Let's play it safe. Let's take a step back. Mouse is like, no, man. I'm going to take the 1v1 duel matchup. I'm taking Aurelia into the Gnar. And the thing is, Aurelia will eventually win that matchup. Eventually. Gnar will be able to abuse her in the early part, and that's really where these games have been won. Early.
It certainly has. Let's see what Team W can do against these picks, I should say. We've already hyped up Mouse a little bit coming into this best of 5 series for Oscar, and because we have seen what he can do. We had questions about him when he was replacing Korra coming into the summer split. He's answered every single one, and he's really been stepping up as a big pillar for EDG. I'm still waiting to see what Team WE pick up as their next 2 picks. They hovered over the Ezreal for a split second there for Mystic, but instead it seems like they're going towards the Elite as well as Tahm Kench and leaving the AD carry pick for last.
We're getting a counter pick on an ADC, so what's it going to be, Deft? Are you going to look towards the Twitch? Are you going to take the Sivir? Or are you going to take the Ezreal?
could definitely be the 7th pickup. It has been the most contested champion in this best-of-5 series. We've seen it played every single game so far.
It also works beautifully with Gragas as well as Aurelia and Vladimir. Vladimir on his kit, the only thing that he lacks is the ability to get into team fights. It's very hard for him to just run forward. It's why the Proto Cannon is such a strong itemization choice for him. With the Sivir to augment that, he's much stronger at making these big flanking Hemoplague plays.
Excited to see what AD carry is going to come out here for the side of Mystic, though, because the Sivir is locked in for EDG. It's also surprising to see Zero is not picking up the Alistar this game, so going towards the Tahm Kench, another very heavily contested pick between him and Mako.
Works in beautiful synergy with Taliyah on that pick, so a lot of semi-presence, and that's right, Fish. Ooh. Get hyped. Mako picked up Thresh.
Yeah, he's picking up Thresh going to the bottom lane. Despite the great performances from Mystic in 2 games so far, every single level 1 fight that's gone between Mystic and Zero against Deft and Mako has gone in Deft and Mako's favor.
And let's just point out that everyone across the board is picking up their comfort picks. No one is taking a step back. Everyone is taking a step forward. This is not either team playing it safe. This is saying this is Game 5 of the semifinals, and if we're going down, we're taking you down with us.
And Mystics picked up his Ezreal as well. We'll see a repeat performance from the MVP man from game number 4. This game already looks like it's going to be a bloodbath, Frosker.
And this is a story of redemption for both teams and for China as a whole. 2015 Worlds, China was the laughingstock. We came back at MSI, had a strong performance from RNG, but EDG, they want to wipe away the embarrassment of dropping the last few LPL titles. Team WE on the other side want to rebuild the dynasty that they started in 2013.
They certainly are. And, you know, this is the 5th and final match of the first semifinals of tonight. EDG, they are still going to be chasing perfection, Frosker, and they still have a chance for an undefeated split in the summer split of the LPL, but they must win this next game. Team WE looking for redemption. We will find out which team comes out on top because we're heading into game number 5 between Edward Gaming and Team WE. And unfortunately, as we head into this 5th match, Frosker, it seems like there are a couple of technical difficulties plaguing some of our players, and hopefully we can get those resolved as soon as possible because it is the final match, Frosker, and everything is on the line. And EDG, they've been dropping games. They should be out by now because Team W looked like they were going to take game number 3 as well. But they're still holding on, and this is their last chance to get into the grand finals.
And you can see that on Clearlove's face as we look across. Take a peek at Condi. Both these junglers have been key hinges on which the team's success swings either way, and we've had definitive victories on either side of this series so far.
And it's a big match for both these teams because Team W really looking to try and get into the World Championship through the grand finals of the LPL. EDG, on the other hand, a win here puts them that much closer because not only do they get the chance to try and take the grand finals for their ticket to the World Championship, but also if RNG win their game later tonight, and if EDG win this match, they are automatically guaranteed a spot at the World Championships.
But you know that the World Championship isn't EDG's primary goal right now. That's down the line. They can look towards that. Right now, it's that perfect split. They're the first LPL team to ever have a perfect regular season. They want to be the first to have a regular playoff run as well.
Let's see if they can achieve that as well, because this is the 5th and final match, Frosker, in between Team WE and EDG. We have resolved the technical difficulties and we are back onto Summoner's Rift.
And we've had very similar strategies throughout the course of this best of 5, and it seems to be pick the shoving lanes, because that means you'll get control of the wave, you'll be able to lock down your enemy laner, and more importantly, you're going to open up space for Clearlove and Condi to run in and to contest.
Can already see Sia trying to invade rather early with Zero here. Looked like they got a couple of wards down.
So now we can kind of identify who's going to have the pushing lanes and win. Initially, Gnar is going to have the advantage over Aurelia. Eventually, she will outscale him, out-itemize him, and find a superior matchup there. Vladimir versus Talia, again, like the Gnar matchup, early Talia is going to be able to shove that Vladimir in. He's really reliant on levels because he needs multiple points in those abilities so he can start lowering the cooldowns. On the bottom side of the map is where EDG have a lot of their success, having that Sivir.
And we've already seen what EDG can do in this bottom lane at level 1. Deft and Mako have won every single trade at the start of the match. Sia, he started with an interesting start, went over to Raptor Camp, took down all the small Raptors, and now goes back into his lane and continues that shove. Junglers, we saw Clearlove started his blue buff as the first camp with a bit of help of Mouse, whereas Condi started at the Krugs to start things off, and he's moving straight towards his blue buff, opting not to take his red buff to start things off.
So what he's probably prioritizing is he's going to go from blue and then immediately grab the Scuttle Crab and taking control of early vision on the bottom side. It makes sense. You know that Gragas is a heavy early ganking jungler, and you need to catch Clearlove out and make sure that Deft and Mako don't get the snowball. Likewise,
not with this.
Exactly. CA also acting in tandem with his jungler, and they're prioritizing very early vision and control on Clearlove.
And they've even got some good damage in the bottom lane. Mystic does get exhausted though. Dev has to back away. He can't deal the damage he wants, so shoving in the bottom lane even. And they've had constant wards on towards the red buff on the side of Clearlove. They do fizzle it out, and they don't get in towards for the trade. Scout, though, taking a lot of damage coming out from Sia. There has to be very careful.
And CA is really putting the punishment across multiple EDG members so far. Only 3 minutes in the game, but he's spotted out and has a tracker on Clearlove, as well as punishing Scout in this lane.
So, no aggressive evade coming out from Condi. Does not take the Scuttle Crab either. Instead, just takes the bottom side of his jungle, heads over towards his blue buff. But good early look coming out from Team WE. Once again, very proactive during the early game, something we didn't expect out of this team, especially during the group stages of the LPL.
It does mean that we do need to take stocks of the summoner spells available on the bottom side, so Mako exchanging that exhaust for Mystic's heal, because Clearlove is on the bottom side of the map. He will be spotted out by a ward in the river brush if he decides to look for a gank.
For now, though, just taking down the Scuttle Crab, waiting inside of the Dragon Pit. That ward would expire shortly, so we'll have to be a little bit careful. Mako is on Thresh, so it's a little bit of less reaction time in this bottom lane if Clearlove decides to go for a gank. He does head straight back into his jungle, continues farming up, as we will see them play rather passive to start things off.
But they know where Clearlove is. There was a ping onto Clearlove's Raptor camp, so Team WE, confident that he's on the bottom side of the map, immediately Condi knows that this will be a 2v1, trying to snowball 957 ahead of this matchup.
And we haven't seen junglers pay attention to the top side of the map very early on into any games so far. It's just been towards the mid game where a couple of ganks get thrown up there, but it's just been an island between the two teams. Condi looking for an early look there, doesn't get it, instead moves straight in towards Clearlove's jungle.
Very nice heads-up communication from Mouse to keep him safe. He has been caught out before, and he did place a ward behind him in the try.
Spots him out. He knows that he's here. He's going to try and stay alive this one. 957 is in Mega Gnar. Condi trying to shove Mouse away. Good Q coming back from Mouse, gets him back to safety, and the cocoon is going to miss.
And unfortunately for Team WE, they're not able to execute on the Mega Gnar available to look for that dive. Excellent play from Mouse.
Over in this mid lane, Scout still taking a world of hurt, not only from the minions, but also from Talia, who gets a good rock throw on over towards the Vladimir. Scout really struggling to start things off, but still farming very well in this mid lane.
And I think this is the calmest and most quiet early game that we've had so far in this series, and not for lack of trying.
It certainly has been between the two series. It's been chaotic this entire best-of-5 series for Oscar, to say the least. Bottom side of the map going exactly how we would expect it. Mystic and Zero surprisingly did well to start things off, but now it's just the Sivir and the Thresh taking over, slowly shoving out that bottom lane quite effectively.
And you have to think that, oh, hold on,
they
Cocoon.
Found Scout. Cocoon comes out from Connie immediately.
W.
Goes to being used by Scout. Uses the W to get away. Rock throw comes out. Seismic shove. Not going to connect. Sia barely missing that one. And Scout will escape the gank.
Good use of the W at the perfect time to make sure that he dodges out a lot of Talia's damage. And the Ghost clearing him from the threat of repel on Elise. So good micro play from Scout.
It certainly was. Clearlove also defends his Raptor camp from an invade that came out from Condi.
And the reason why Condi immediately turned onto the Raptor camp, and you'll see this happen repeatedly, is whenever Vladimir is put in a situation where he's shoved out, he's low health, and he doesn't want to contest.
Hang on though. Top side of the map. First blood. Mouse picks up a solo kill in the top lane. against 957.
We said it in Champion Select. You know, most of the time, high pressure situation like this, top laners, mid laners, they'll sit back. They'll be like, it's best of 5, last game. You know, I don't want to step up and be the carry. I don't want to take the responsibility. I'll play Maokai. I'll take the step back. I'll play something easy. No. He picks the Aurelia. He finds the solo 1v1 kill.
Surprises him with level 6 as well. 957 still waiting in the wings. A little bit more experience would have put him toe-to-toe there and was almost mega on top of that. A fantastic heads-up play coming out from Mouse. He started this game off strong for EDG after a very quiet early game.
And that's not where he started the split. Mouse was a really big question mark. You know, taking over Koro, the former captain of EDG, is no small shoe to fill. And Mouse has done so beautifully, really growing into that responsibility, and now can hold his own against majority of top laners in the LPL.
Meanwhile, Deft and Mako shove out the bottom lane, immediately rotate in towards the mid lane just to pick up a single wave for themselves. So big heads-up play again. Mouse now getting jumped on by 957 and Meganar. They do have Condi moving up to the top lane. Does land the cocoon, gets some good damage down, but Mininar comes out from 957. He just can't quite follow up.
And again, Mouse is just absorbing so much pressure and so many resources while the rest of EDG just kind of get to sit back in their own safety and farm things up. And he's not losing anything for it. In fact, he's actually going to have a CS advantage because that wave was shoved into him.
Meanwhile, Sia now slowly starting to be shoved off by Scout. Slowly, this Vladimir will overtake this lane. Okay,
so the cute Vladimir point is that anytime Vlad is super weak and pushed out, he'll often turn on the Raptor camp, which is why Condi went for that invade. So continuously watch. Anytime Xie gets the slight advantage on Scout before he's able to sustain back up, they're immediately going to go and contest the Raptor camp, because that's where Vladimir wants to draw his strength back from without the threat of Talia.
However, already from these micro trades, EDG find themselves massively ahead. That 1,000 gold in the lead 8 minutes into the game. They're looking towards more on the top side of the map.
And Clearlove does have flash as well as his cast, so if 957 just either misuses his hop or takes a step too far forward, he's done.
He's being very careful though, trying to manage his rage bar as well. Just farming up the minions using his boomerang as well as auto attacks.
This is also just for Mouse to push this wave in and reset it. So Clearlove being here and making sure that if Condi does show up, surprise, it's actually a 2v2.
Mouse will head back to base though, recognizes that, and Clearlove goes back as well. The gank on the top lane does fizzle out. Bottom side of the map, we do see BS Sword being picked up by Deft as his first item buy, whereas the tier has been completed by Mystic.
Which obviously translates into a massive advantage for EDG on the bottom side of the map. They're in a very healthy position. We'll see what Clearlove can get done on that side, if he's going to invade Condi or just look for a clean gank.
For now, Talia's still going to be farming up in this mid lane. Does have the blue buff available for himself, so can farm a little bit more effectively, but Scout is slowly starting to take over, like we mentioned earlier. Now, it's a little bit more difficult for Talia to get those shoving plays, get the ganks on towards the Vladimir, as Hook from Mako barely misses Mystic there. That was a little bit blind as well.
Yes. And again, because they have the item advantage of having the BF Sword over the tier, they're starting to move in, lay down deep vision.
As here comes Condi. Nah, does not get the stun into the wall, and he misses the W as well to stun up Mouse. A lot of pressure being thrown to the top lane, but it's just not quite working out for Team WE.
And it's because that's the only place that they have to throw it. They know that they're weak on the bottom side of the map, so they need to look top side.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's a Weaver's Wall being used. A little bit of a misclick or unfortunate play from Sierra there, but that will be back up in no time.
That bottom tower is about a stiff breeze from going down. And here comes Clearlove.
957 has to be careful. Will dodge away early. Ultimate comes out from Clearlove, but the Mini-Nar's already too far forward and will get knocked back to safety instead of back into the team.
Just a bit too quick on the trigger there. He just effectively threw the cast for nothing. They didn't burn the flash. They will force Gnar off the tower just due to their pressure. There we go.
There's a flash coming out from 957 there. EDG relentless in pressure on the top side of the map. That does give Condi the all clear as he moves down to the bottom lane. Zero in trouble as he tries to get the go toe-to-toe against Deft.
But a big problem is that they don't have the Weaver's Wall. So they're not able to fully go ham on the bottom side of the map.
They go towards Scout. Cocoon is not going to land. Instead, hits a minion. Hit or miss coming out from Condi so far. He's been trying to gank everywhere he sees the opportunity, but just can't quite get anything done.
Just much cleaner communication across the map from EDG to keep tabs on Condi and keep everyone safe. We're no longer having these individual decision errors where, you know, someone's a bit too far forward, too greedy for farm, and it's just opening up weaknesses that Condi is able to exploit. So a much cleaner early game from EDG. Probably the cleanest that they've had all series outside game one.
Definitely. And this is really good for them because Team WE, the games they've won so far have been when they get that early game lead, which we don't expect Team WE to get.
And they've been much more consistent on getting it over the course of the 5-game series, to everyone's surprise.
They certainly have for now, though. Clearlove's been sent down into bottom lane. Ward will spot him out. There's a Tom Kanch coming into the back lines. Teleport immediately from 957. The box has been popped, but hits nobody. Teleport now from Irelia, looking to get into the back lines. Does get cancelled. He continues pushing on the top side of the map. Even Scout trying to ghost down into this bottom lane, but they do lose the structure. First structure gold going on over to EDG.
And it could possibly be 2 because Mouse did the smart thing, canceled his teleport. Again, that communication from EDG, you can see it clearly. Cancel the TP, we're just going to disengage away from this. Mouse chooses not to continue to chip away damage. He would prioritize his back, probably has that Trinity Force about now, which is a big power spike for him. But this Aurelia is getting so much farther ahead of this Gnar.
And Team WE have been the proactive team in this match, Frostgrim, but every single time something happens, it just fizzles out and they can't get anything from it.
This looks like a much more focused and determined EDG. You know, removed the Hecarim, you get a lot more action and presence from Clearlove early on the map, and even though it hasn't amounted into like the 6-kill snowball games, it's just right time, right place for pretty much everyone, and it feels like Team WE, they're just throwing blind darts and trying to hit something.
And from that alone, EDG now 2,000 gold up, a very comfortable position to be in 13 minutes into this game. And still looking to try and find advantages wherever they possibly can. Now still heads up to the top lane.
They should really look to continue to exploit this top lane mismatch, especially because the cooldowns between the teleports are going to be at very different timers since Mouse chose to cancel his and 957 committed.
However, EDG moves straight towards the blue buff on the side of Team WE's map, looking to try and take this one away from Sia, who's been jumped on by Scout. Clearlove goes over the wall, knocks him back. Zero will eat him up, get him back to safety, but for how long? Because they're still pushing aggressively forward. He lives with a sliver of health. Good damage coming down. Mystic going over the wall, putting good damage down as well with his Mystic shots. Scout now in a sticky situation, but he's going toe-to-toe against Zero, who is incredibly low. Does land the Tongue Lash. There's the win as well. Separated team, but Mystic's been caught. He's exhausted. He gets taken down. Def gets the kill, and EDG fight their way out of a bad situation here. Zero's in trouble. Clearlove chases on towards him. Doesn't have much health left to work with, and Clearlove gets that kill.
They're back against the wall. You can count on Deft and Clearlove to step up. They are the legacy players. They are the veteran members, and they are the true carries of EDG. Push comes to shove, and they push back.
They certainly do, and now on the top side of the map, 957 looking to get the jump on towards Mouse. We'll have the Hyper Proc coming up very shortly, forcing him back. The ultimate has been burnt by Mouse as well. Mega Gnar coming out soon. EDG work on this Ocean Dragon. Clearlove almost dying to that one, but it does get taken down. Infernal Dragon is going to be the next dragon to spawn. Suddenly though, Condi moving up to the top lane too. Mouse has to be careful. They're just pushing on towards this turret, forcing the Aurelia away. But still, Team WE really on the back foot here for Oscurin.
And the thing is WE aren't able to get anything out of the top side. Mouse still has his flash as well as the level advantage on 957. And with that Mega Gnar running out, he knows that there's no threat. Back up, wait for the ultimate to fall off, and then just reassume farming.
They certainly are looking to do just that for now. But EDG, good gold lead at the moment. 3,000 gold ahead of Team WE just based off their fantastic plays alone. A little bit more clinical this time round. And every single time Team WE look to try and counter it out, it just doesn't work for them. They can't even get the proactive engages themselves for Oscurin.
And if we check in on the map, we can actually see that they've removed a lot of their lane assignments right now. They've kicked Scout down into the bottom side. He's not running a double teleport TP member, nor is he that Talea. But they can really start to exploit and abuse their lane assignments in terms of itemization against Team WE. Again, Mouse is really far ahead. He has the superior matchup against Gnar, and this Vladimir has turned into a big problem.
They're moving to the top side of the map though, Froscurin, trying to shove 957 out of this turret. His teleport is going to be back up in about 10 to 20 seconds. so it can impact the map globally if they choose him to do so. Sia now being sent down to the bottom lane as well to deal with Scout, so matching the pressure from EDG.
But the issue is the only thing Talia can do is just continue to shove him back. So it's just turned into a free farm lane because it's a Spirit Visage itemized against the AD carry. Or excuse me, the AP carry.
Well, here comes Gragas over the back of the wall, tries to knock Mystic into the team. He takes a lot of damage for that one, but does not die. Scout, though, taking a lot of damage from Sia here. Tries to go toe-to-toe against the Talia, but can't do anything.
They're just going to sit here, and right now, EDG are making the correct call. Be patient and just continue to chip away at the standing structures.
And that's what they've done this entire game. Be very, very patient, not be over-aggressive. Make sure Team WE in the wrong position to force a fight. Mystic had to go back to base, so he's not here to try and defend his turret. Weaver's Wall does come out from Sia just to stop the push that comes out from EDG.
And that was the only play that Team WE had available to him. Again, the reason why Talia is matching Vladimir is she was the only one that could really push against him. Mystic is now going bottom to just pick up the farm that's going to be collected here. But ultimately, these towers will fall if EDG just continue to run this 1-3-1.
But now, Team WE, they're just slowly bleeding out, Frosco, and it's approaching a 4,000 goal lead, and might just get there if Def keeps hammering away at this turret. It seems like there's nothing that Team W can do at the moment.
With Deft and Mako resetting their position, though, it will force Scout to also recall. So Team WE did a good job on kind of not breaking the siege, because they weren't taking the towers, but that chip damage, by using the Talia ultimate mid.
But still, they're just bleeding out.
But that's that massive damage that you saw him just inflict onto Mystic there, was pretty much 1E. That's why it has to be CA that matches across from Scout right now.
And it's curious to see what's going to be next, because EDG seems like they're more than happy to sit in this position. It seems like a gank on towards Scout is the first step they're trying to take. He tries to ghost away, has his flash available as well, and there's no way you're catching this Vladimir.
And technically that was a mistake. Again, Scout really shouldn't have been that far forward without Deft and Mako having this pressure point in mid. But it does turn into a slight victory because now they have the inside track. Here comes
Clearlove, knocks Sia into the wall, gets eaten up by Zero to stay alive, but Condi falls down. Scout gets a surprise kill there, and they take down the turret as well.
So using Fog of War, although hold on. Okay, he's good. Using Fog of War, Scout manages to buy enough time where he's able to stay overextended for Mako and Deft to not only back, but reposition mid and set themselves up for a successful siege on mid.
And where was the CDG this entire series? We saw it in game number 1, just disappeared for the rest of this map. Now in game number 5, they step up the pace again. They're really controlling Team WE in this early game.
But that's kind of the difference, though. This is a much more controlled EDG, a bit colder, a bit more calculated. The first EDG was that really fiery, aggressive, all-in-your-face kind of LPL true team. This one is just stone-cold killers. You know, it's game 5, time to get it done.
But still, 4,000 gold in the lead. Team WE just seems like they have no way out. It seems like it's lights out already this early into the match. Everything they're trying to do just doesn't work. It's going to be interesting to see what they try to do later on this game, because they're just slowly but surely bleeding out of this match, and it seems like there's no way to come back into it.
They will have a really nice mid-game power spike between Talia and Ezreal that they can kind of look as a window to pivot around, because again, you're still going to have a mid-power trough for Sivir as well as Vladimir. The only kind of bridge point for EDG is going to be Gragas and Aurelia.
Speaking of Aurelia, she's been able to pick up the Trinity Force. That's the first item to go with the Mercury Threads, as well as the Rift Herald. Going back to the Void there, doesn't get taken down. Baron's coming up shortly as it's 20 minutes in. And speaking of Aurelia, is looking for a Serrated Dirk item. Have to keep track and see if that's a Yomu's Ghostblade later on. EDG, though, collapsing on towards the bottom lane here. They've got 4 members down here. Clearlove just farming up Condi's jungle, taking away as many resources as possible and trying to starve out Team WE.
25 seconds will be the Infernal Drake spawning, so EDG really just need to continue these pressure points in the mid and bottom lane so they can have superior positioning for when this dragon spawns.
It really feels like Team W are now in a situation that they put EDG in 2 games ago. But Condi, he's being locked out, forced to repel. Look at that, they try to bring the minions back for him to repel down to, but not fast enough. Mako picks up that kill. They will bring Sia into the mid lane to try and defend this turret, but they have to be careful.
And that's just textbook about how you take an objective. Again, you apply pressure points in the mid and the bot wave, and then you catch someone cheating through the jungle.
Well, there's the Weaver's Wall just separating EDG, looking to try and defend this turret, but body slam over the wall from Cleared Up, as well as the wall being broken, means that they just push on towards the mid lane inner turret, and that's going to get taken down. 6,000 to 7,000 gold lead in favor of EDG at the moment. They move straight towards the Infernal Dragon.
And they will get a tower in response, but you have to think at one point the reason why Team WE didn't want to try to contest for that is because A, they didn't have Condi, and B, they didn't have Gnar, so missing their two big front lines. But EDG now have their pick of the litter about any objective.
There goes the Infernal Dragon. The next one to spawn is going to be another Infernal Dragon. It's just been fiery this match, Frosker, and EDG taking advantage of this early game fantastically so far. Team WE, they're going to try and do this. Not sure if they can, but it seems like the only thing they can possibly do. The Desperate Baron has been started. EDG have not pinged this out yet. They do have a pink ward.
No, Zero
tries to get over the pit, but he decides to back off, so they might not know. They do ping it out. There comes Mako trying to stop this one, but he might be able to get it. Frosker, and it's really low.
Mako's not even here to check the Baron. He's here to ward it.
It's low. 2,000 gold. Here comes a teleport in. 1,000 health. Mystic and 957 and Condi gonna get it. 19 WE get the Baron buff. They do lose this. They do lose their jungler as 957 jumps over. And this might be what they need to get back into the game.
What an incredible call. That is such a high-risk, high-reward play. A desperation Baron at 22 minutes. And for Zero to brilliantly think that, oh, this is probably pink warded, so I'm actually going to make them think that we're not doing this at all. I'm just here to ward, and maybe I'm going to back out.
They still lose Condi, they lose their top lane turret, but the brakes have been put on by Team WE. They're stalling this one out. It's still a large deficit to overcome. We'll have to see if that Baron buff is going to be enough. EDG, though, they want to pull the trigger here. They're looking for the fight. Mystic has been hit by the Hemoplague. Zero eats him up, tries to get him back to safety. 957 in trouble, can't do anything before he goes Mega. Gets taken down in mini-Gnar form. EDG don't care about this Baron buff, Frosker. They pull the trigger anyway.
You wouldn't think that looking at this game that this is a best-of-5 last chance scenario for either of these teams because of how ballsy these calls are.
It certainly doesn't look like it at all. The only thing Team W have been able to get going for them in this match, Frosker, is that Baron. But here comes Tahm Kench. Condi locked down, has to repel away from Deft and Mako. Mystic going forward, using the flash there, misses the Mystic shot, trying to slow down Deft. Zero is going to try and lock him down the tongue lash, but a great dark passage gets Deft to safety, and they can't even pick off the AD carry, Frosker.
And this Baron buff is really only going to mean a moment of respite and rest for Team WE. They're unable to use anything offensively. And even thinking that they can't be dove now that they have the Baron buff, EDG just turn it on anyway.
They certainly do, and now it's just...
But Fish, they took a Baron. Like, I'm still just shocked. Again, most teams are like, let's not play anything risky. Let's play hyper-scaling compositions. We'll both sit back. We don't want to throw away the series. We don't want to throw away our entire season on just one bad play.
They're looking to try and lock down Mouse. Pops to Yomi's Ghostblade to try and run away. Turns around on Seer. Gets good damage down. Mouse really low. He uses the ultimate to heal up. And suddenly, there's a 5-man team of EDG moving down into this bottom lane. They get one kill. Good snipe comes out on towards the area. But 957 has to try and run away. Zero will save him for now. But the Vladimir is running down as well. Eats out 957. Spits him into the other team. He wants to try and live now. Def goes on a killing spree. Seer is dead. Scout's now chasing. Protobelt gets him closer. That's Mystic gone. That's Zero dead. A triple kill comes out for Def and an ace for EDG.
And that's the 10k gold deficit now for Team WE. EDG, the beast has awoken. This is your 16-0 perfect season team, and they're going to close this out definitively. This would take a miracle for Team WE to come back.
It certainly looks like it, but first up, Frosker, and take us through this team fight because they tried to pick off Mouse and it didn't even work.
The fact that we're still playing hyper-aggressive and no one has slowed down, hats off to both these LPL teams. But Mako in particular, his target selection and his mechanics really pay off and kind of just delay the inevitable of Mouse being picked off by the Mystic shot in the backside. But really, this is still just a disastrous fight for Team WE. They thought they had the pick. Suddenly, 5 people are on top of them, and Mystic is only arriving at the back half of the fight, and that's where all their gold is.
And poor old 957 thinks that Zero's here to save him. He gets knocked back into the team, and he just spits him out. It's like, you're on your own, buddy. I need to save myself.
That's just a 2-for-1 lunch special at that point.
It certainly was. Team WE desperately holding on. This is their last chance to make it into the grand finals of the LPL. They dropped one of their games at this stage. They were 10,000 gold ahead of EDG, and they weren't able to close it out. Now, the tables have turned. EDG are the one with the massive gold lead. Can Team WE come back?
And the question really has been answered. It's that if Team WE don't get that gold lead in the early game, they have nothing to stay afloat against the likes of EDG.
For now, they're just trying to hold on. They've already lost one inhibitor turret. They didn't lose the inhibitor, but EDG looking to try and change just that. They don't need no minions because they're just marching on towards the base. This inhibitor's taking damage. Weaver's wall comes out, separates the team. Condi goes in. He's taken down immediately. Has to repel out of this fight. Really low and trying to run away towards EDG's side of the map. Zero spits out 957. He's turning Mega, but the Hemoblade's on top of him. Mako takes down Mystic. That's the AD carry gone. EDG still steamrolling through this base.
They don't necessarily have the creep wave here, though, although they're trying to tank it.
They certainly are. Do have one last range minion. This turret will fall. Another inhibitor turret falls. Second inhibitor for EDG is going to go down as well.
But because they don't have the creep wave, it will... Oh, hold on,
They lock down Zero. He's the next target. He gets popped like a balloon.
No.
Can't even use his grey health. Slowly, members of Team WE are just getting picked off one by one.
Someone hit the inhibitor.
That's not going to go down just yet. Hopefully the minions can, but the inhibitor still does survive Frostgurn, but EDG just put themselves even further ahead.
Okay, it went down. It's just a visual glitch. I was like, hello, Edward Gaming? So, 2 inhibitors. Thankfully for Team WE, they didn't have an incoming creep wave. So, Edward Gaming weren't able to capitalize on that pick and end the game, but still, their base has been ravaged. That's now double Infernal, double Inhibitor, and possibly a free, uncontestable Baron in 1 minute and 30 seconds.
And it's an Infernal Dragon that falls down for EDG as well. They pick that one up. If anyone knows what position it's like to be in, it's Team WE. They know because they've been in this spot before. Inhibitors down, 10,000 gold up. They fought against EDG in game number 3. Question is now, how do they fight back? Because EDG looks so strong, they could just possibly end the game at any time.
And the big issue as well is that there's not a lot on Team WE's composition to match Edward Gaming this far ahead of the clock. Like, this is technically mid-game, but because of the gold difference, EDG's members are already into their late-game itemization. And frankly, even if the gold doesn't matter, EDG's composition just does more late.
We can even check in with those items. Sivir already at the Infinity Edge, Essence Reaver as well as the Rapid Fire Cannon, looking for another BF sword item. Already an absolute beast. Mouse picking up his tanky items now on Irelia. Looking to try and scale into these team fights, whereas Team WE just trying to pick up scraps where they can. Mystic does have the Mirror Mana as well as the Iceborne Gauntlet, but no Blade of the Ruined King. But for now, EDG looking to try and push on towards the base. The final inhibitor turret is already at half health, Frostgurn.
They just need to play with their 2 incoming pressure points as well. There's a big super creep wave on the bottom side, 1 building up in the mid lane. EDG just need to be patient, and Team WE, you're running out of time to save your playoff season.
If they want to do something, they've got to pull the trigger now, but they're doing whatever they can just to stop their base from falling. Talia dealing with the bottom lane. 957 in the mid lane trying to stop this push. Now grouping up with his team. Mouse actually wrapping around the back. See if we can get a fight. Hook lands onto Gnar. Has to be eaten up by Zero. He's turning into Mega Gnar as well. On the hunt's been popped. EDG can taste the finals. They're trying to push in towards the base. Here comes Clear Love. Forces a flash from Zero. Weaver's Wall comes out. The inhibitor is going to fall though. Nightbreaker's in. Big Gnar ultimate, but what does it do? Hemo Plague is massive coming out from Scowl. They're pushing through. They're taking down everybody from the side of Team WE. A double kill comes out for the Aurelia, and they're on to the Nexus, Frostgurn.
Welcome to Worlds, EDG. They have now just torn Team WE apart with the Hemoplague Beyblade Arena. No Hecarim, no problem.
And the Nexus turrets fall. The Nexus is all that's left. Only Mystic and Sia left up for Team WE. But they can't do anything because EDG are absolutely dominant in game number 5. And they will be the first team heading into the LPL Grand Finals.
Cold and calculated. This was a much more methodical pace from EDG. But you look at their faces. They're not celebrating. They're sitting there. This should have been easier. We deserve better.
And Team WE have to think about what's going through their minds because they had this series, Frostgurn. Game 3 should have been theirs. They had a decisive game 4. And it's just game number 5 that comes back and bites them. As EDG will be the first team that heads into that Grand Finals. What a series we had here today.
And again, you have to think EDG, they did not expect it to be this hard. Team WE, yes, they drop out of the playoffs now, but they should be very happy with the performance that they put up. Because like you said, this series was really a 50-50.
It certainly was, and it didn't look like it to start things off here today, Frosco, because the first match we saw EDG, when they took on Team WE, they finished things out so quickly in the match. It almost felt like it was going to be a whitewash of a series after Game 1.
And that is something that can be said. You know, that really definitive performance from EDG in Game 1 and Game 5, that they were undisputedly the strongest showings. So EDG still demonstrating that their ceiling is that much better than Team WE's. But again, that was far harder than it should have been for the team that went 16, now 17-0.
And one of the reasons behind this, because we saw Team WE, they had a great early game, especially in 3 of their matches. The 2 that they won, and one of the big comebacks we saw. But we shouldn't touch on that yet. The thing I really want to focus on is that early game. This has been missing from Team WE throughout the entire season. And suddenly against EDG, they find it. What happened there? Because it looked great when they had an early game.
You know, it's really easy to have an early game when you're facing across from a Hecarim. And I probably sound like a broken record, but EDG have no idea how to play around a Hecarim. They lose so much of their presence and pressure in their map, or in their solo and side lanes, and their lanes don't adjust for the fact that they're having a farm jungle and no one's coming to their aid. So yeah, it's really easy for Team WE to look great in an early game when it's effectively a 4v5.
And we did see Clearlove play 3 games on that Hecarim. One of them was a win, and
that was barely a win. That was a win. Okay, if you haven't watched the series, that was a win because they managed to be hard carried by Deft at like 45 minutes in that game. EDG should not have won that. So you can't even say, oh, well, they won with Hecarim once. No, they won with Kog'Maw once.
Exactly that. And Kog'Maw was actually banned out against him in that first match. And after that game, never saw a return into the game. But that's another thing I want to touch on. That big comeback. That was Team WE's time to shine. We said this is where they're very comfortable, you know, Baron buff spawning, Elder Dragon's coming up in 1 minute, they're pushing on for an inhibitor turret, all they have to do is play safe, and then just, we didn't see that. Team WE just completely went against their style that they've been playing this entire split, and they lose that crucial match. If they won that game,
they would have won the series.
Exactly, and followed up with that dominant performance in Game 4, that would have been their series. They would have been the team that goes to the grand finals.
And that's why you see that disappointing look on EDG's face. You know, immediately you go to Clearlove and you think, you just qualified for World. You just got a seat in the LPL final, and it's just stone cold disappointment right there. He holds so much responsibility on himself, and this is the story of EDG. It's chasing perfection. We say it all the time. It's not good enough to win. You have to dominate.
Exactly that, and they did dominate in a couple of their games. Game number 1, very dominant. Game number 5, very dominant from EDG, and this is what we expect, and hopefully we can see that in the grand finals, because no matter who wins between RNG and IMA, it's still going to be a tough task for EDG.
Would be a rematch of the spring finals, however, if it is an RNG versus EDG, and of course RNG going there, the heavy favorites, but again, flashbacks for EDG. They haven't won an LPL title in quite some time after their very dominant 2014 inaugural split, so pressure is on. They stumbled very heavily against Team WE. I'd like to see them clean this up and not look towards that Hecarim. Clearlove is far too important to EDG's early game to cripple him and take him off of such a high-impact position.
And even if it's not RNG that head into the finals, it will be IMA, EDG's previous sister team of EDE back when they were in the LSPL last split. But RNG are definitely the heavy favorites going into that match. And flashbacks as well to MSI. RNG against EDG in the grand finals of the spring split of the LPL. EDG clear favorites. It went to a 5-game series, very similar to what we saw today between EDG and Team WE. It seems like playoffs are not really where EDG starts to shine for Oscar.
And the revenge story is still sweet across the 2 remaining teams. You know that EDE, Amazing J, would love revenge on his sister team, and you know that RNG, they already have that mental edge. We beat them last time, we can beat them again, so it's still a very hard uphill climb for EDG, especially in their current form.
And there's still another team in RNG that have been very vocal about how they want to be the best team in China. They want to be the team that make it to Worlds as well. They've got a tough task against them later on tonight against IMA, but you know, going back to this game, EDG, they still do pick up the victory, and even though it was a fumble in a couple of games, the games they won were definitely deserved. 2 clinical games and 1 huge comeback, so they still look great going into this grand finals, and it still feels like they are the favorites going into this match. For now, we can check in with that final game's MVP, which goes over towards Mako on his Thresh. 3-0-13. He finally done it, Frosco, and he gets an MVP performance.
What does it take for support to get an MVP, Fish? Well, it takes you showing up in Game 5 of a semifinal on your comfort pick kick and thresh and just styling on the enemy team.
And it seems like almost every single playoff game, Frostger, if we go into the 4th or 5th game and the team wins decisively, it's going to be the supports that you can look at to pick that one up. This was crucial for Mako. Lands a hook onto a full health Mystic right as they look to try and turn around a fight.
And that wasn't the only full health hook that Mako was hitting. Also that play in the bottom, turning and saving his top laner's life before he was sniped off by that true shot barrage. But Mako showing why he used to be kind of a thresh one trick and pulling it out in Game 5. Love to see it.
And it kind of brings us down to the bottom lane of EDG, because in the bottom we have Deft and Mako, and it kind of summed up the series as well. Game 1 to 4, no matter who won the game, level 1 for Deft and Mako was phenomenal. They would just outplay Mystic and Zero time and time again. We've seen this every single time. Their bottom lane duo is just fantastic in these standard lanes, and it seems like 6.15 has really helped them out as well.
Deft and Mako are undisputedly the best bot lane in the LPL. They are incredibly aggressive. Deft is a reformed man. He is no longer that passive AD carry, and they will contest you every single time at level 2. And it helps if you've got Clear Love, you know, just camping your lane.
It certainly does, but they've really been showing up time and time again, and it does show with the amount of MVP performances that we see. The likes of Clear Love and the likes of Deft pick up very diverse champion pools, and it seems like these three are really the core of EDG ever since they've replaced Core in the top lane. Pawn, unfortunately, has been injured, not able to play, and they still seem like that core team that really works well for them.
You know, it's a really sweet moment for Clear Love fans, because for a lot of time, people denied kind of the success of EDG from Clear Love. You know, they said, oh, it's the Korean imports, it's Pawn and it's Deft. And yes, Deft is still having an incredible performance. Again, undisputedly the best AD carry in the LPL. But, you know, they subbed out Coral. They got a different top laner. They subbed out Pawn. They have a different mid laner. And as long as Mako and Clear Love are on the team, and even Deft, because Mako and Clear Love have played almost every single game. Deft's also had sub-rotations between Jin Zhao, who's now playing on Aimee. They will win. And definitively, that is the backbone. That is the spine. Deft is this incredible cannon and this weapon, but he needs time to prep, to aim, to have that space and zone control in front of him. Mystic showed that very well. You know, the AD carry can only do so much in this meta. He needs to have that front line, and there's no better ones than Mako and Clear Love.
Then we kind of take a look at the solo lanes for EDG as well, who have been very crucial for them in this split. One person we really want to bring up is Scout, because Pawn is meant to be the starting mid laner for EDG. Unfortunately, as we headed into playoffs, he had to be emergency substituted out in their final match of the regular season of the LPL, just because Pawn has been having back issues that have been plaguing him throughout his professional career at the moment. Scout, though, has played most of the games for EDG, and he has been fitting in rather seamlessly when they do need him to step up in the roster, even today.
Yeah, and particularly picking up that responsibility that you used to have on the team. So being much more about controlling space in front of them, empowering the 5v5. He does have occasionally standout kind of hard carry moments, but it's really all about Deft. Again, in a meta where a lot of AD carries around the world are saying it's really hard or almost impossible to carry from this position, Deft and EDG are pretty much saying no, that you can definitely do this, but you have to have the right tools in the rest of the positions.
It certainly have been, and the final member of the team that I really want to point out is Mouse. We talked about him a lot during the Specify series, but he came in with a lot of questions. People were doubting what he could do for the team. Can he fill Cora's shoes? Because they were big shoes to fill. And it took him a while, but he really answers all those questions. He really stepped up, and he's really been really great for the team and has done phenomenally for EDG.
I mean, the early game was pretty much the Mouse Clear Love show. You know, he got ahead in his 1v1 matchup. He found the individual 1v1 solo kill. He got the counter matchup. So, I mean, Mouse, he's not the superstar top laner that Cora was at one point in his career, but he's certainly no longer a liability for EDG. But
hopefully we'll still be able to see more of Team WE, because this is a team that has just improved game after game throughout 2016. Coming into the summer split, they look like one of the best teams in the LPL. They've been doing well, especially later on, going to playoffs and perform well. Now they've taken EDG to 5 games. They are truly a team that relies solely on teamwork. And even when they lose big games like this, they still look like they're working together as a team.
And what's incredible is you always think that you know the ceiling of Team WE, and then they just continue to surprise you. Again, taking those chances on a Twisted Fate 1 trick like CA. You know, he was known because he used TF as a champion to climb up the Korean and the Chinese solo queue ladder. They decided to pick him up. He brings up the Diana and then just starts diversifying his champion pool. And now he's pulling out Talia and trying to hard carry Team WE against EDG in a semi-final.
We'll hopefully be able to see more of Team WE and hopefully be able to see them try and make it through the gauntlet run heading into Worlds. But that is EDG, the first team in the LPL heading into the grand finals. We still have one more semi-final match to play. That is going to be RNG taking on IMA, and we'll see that after this break.